June 30th, 2023. Joe Lindner, known as Joesthetics, one of the biggest fitness influencers in Germany with over 9 million followers, dies at just 30 years old. 2017. Rich Piana, American bodybuilding legend, collapses at home and dies 2 weeks later in a coma. He was 46. Both had openly talked about their steroid use. In both cases, the exact cause of death was never officially confirmed, but Piana's autopsy revealed a heart and liver twice the normal size. 2 men, 2 continents, 2 decades apart, and yet the same pattern: young, famous, muscular, and dead way too soon. This isn't a coincidence. A study following over 1,000 steroid users found that in this group, average age 27, nearly 3 times as many died compared to a matched group who didn't use steroids. How can a substance that millions of people use to build their dream body keep leading to this exact same pattern? And this isn't just about pros and influencers anymore. Countless everyday gym goers now turn to steroids too, often without really understanding what these substances actually do inside the body. That's exactly what we're looking at today. What are steroids actually? Let's start with the basics. Steroid sounds like one single evil substance, but it isn't. The term simply describes any molecule with a specific 4-ring carbon structure. Cholesterol is a steroid. Estrogen is a steroid. Even the cortisone spray you use for your pollen allergy is a steroid. What we're talking about today are anabolic androgenic steroids, synthetic testosterone that docks in your body at exactly the same place your natural testosterone does, androgen receptors. From there, it travels into the cell nucleus and switches on hundreds of genes responsible for muscle growth. The result? Muscle cells get more nuclei, the control centers that determine how big a muscle can actually get. Normally, building new nuclei takes months. With steroids, it happens in a fraction of that time. That's why someone on steroids can build 10 times more muscle mass in a year than someone just taking creatine. Sounds like every bodybuilder's dream. Just how strong the effect really is was shown in a 10-week experiment with 43 men split into 4 groups. Group 1, no training, no steroids, no change. Group 2, no exercise, but weekly testosterone. Still gained about 3 kilos of muscle. Group 3, hard strength training, no steroids, just under 2 kilos gained. Group 4, training plus testosterone. Nearly 6 kilos of muscle gained in just 10 weeks, more than triple what training alone produced. That explains how Joe Lindner and Rich Piana built physiques they never could have reached naturally, and why the fitness industry has been hooked on this substance for years. More and more influencers are now openly admitting they're enhanced. Sounds like more honesty at first. The problem? They show off their impressive results, but almost never what's happening behind the scenes. And that's exactly what's coming up next. Hormonal chaos. Your body is a feedback loop. The moment it detects liters of testosterone flooding in from outside, it simply shuts down its own production. Why keep making more when there's already plenty around? The consequence? The testicles shrink, sometimes to half their normal size. A specialist in male reproductive medicine estimates that around 90% of steroid users end up with fertility problems. Sometimes this reverses after stopping, sometimes it doesn't. At the same time, the body converts part of the excess testosterone into estrogen. In up to 40% of male users, this leads to gynecomastia, breast tissue growth. The only reliable fix? Surgery. Many try to prevent this by taking additional drugs that block the conversion, adding yet another synthetic substance to the body just to keep the side effect of the first one in check. In women, the hormonal chaos shows up differently. The cycle gets disrupted, libido can drop, and virilization, the medical term for masculinization, permanently deepens the voice and increases body and facial hair. Unlike many other side effects, this is often irreversible in women, even after stopping steroid use. A heart under constant stress. The heart is just a muscle too, and testosterone tells every muscle cell in the body the same thing: grow. The problem is that a bigger heart isn't automatically a better heart. The left ventricle in particular thickens, making it harder for the heart to contract and relax properly. It pumps less efficiently. On top of that, LDL, the bad cholesterol, rises. HDL, the good one, drops. The risk of blood clots increases. Heart attacks and strokes in people under 30, who should belong to the fittest population group around, aren't a rare exception anymore. They're a well-known reality in the bodybuilding scene. Here's the deceptive part. A thickened heart doesn't show up in the mirror. That's exactly what happened with Rich Piana. From the outside, he looked fitter and stronger than almost anyone, while his most important muscle was already twice as heavy as it should have been on the inside. Strength and looks improve while actual health deteriorates out of sight. That's what makes this risk so dangerous. You only notice it once it's too late. Liver, kidneys, organs, skin. Oral steroids in particular put massive strain on the liver, leading to jaundice, tumors, and in rare cases, blood-filled cysts that can rupture and cause internal bleeding. The skin doesn't get spared either. Sebaceous glands grow larger and produce more oil, often resulting in severe acne, in some studies in nearly half of all users. And because steroids are injected, infections and abscesses at the injection site are common too, some severe enough to require hospitalization, where the tissue has to be surgically opened and drained. An additional problem rarely talked about: the quality of what's actually in the syringe. Most of these substances come from unregulated underground labs with no independent quality control. Some batches barely cause a reaction, others trigger massive inflammatory responses, up to fist-sized swellings that can only be treated surgically. Anyone who chooses to use steroids often doesn't actually know what's running through their veins. The mind, roid rage, anxiety, and an aging brain. This is the part that's underestimated. Studies show that up to 60% of users develop increased irritability and aggression, the famous roid rage. But it's more than just anger. Some users report anxiety severe enough to be diagnosed as an anxiety disorder. A 2021 study used MRI scans to examine the brains of over 200 strength athletes, half training naturally, half on steroids. The result: the brains of steroid users showed a significantly higher brain age than their actual age. Their brains were aging faster than they should. And then there's the psychology. Many people take steroids because they don't feel comfortable in their own bodies. The paradox: steroids often don't fix body dysmorphia, they make it worse. You never quite reach the image in your head, and the moment you stop and lose muscle mass again, you feel smaller than ever. Even desire itself changes. Some users describe the first few weeks after starting as feeling like going through puberty all over again, just as an adult with responsibilities, a job, and a relationship. A state many initially describe as pleasant, but one that quickly becomes a burden when your mind is constantly running at full speed while the rest of your life still has to keep moving. The dependency trap. That's exactly the vicious cycle. After stopping, it can take months or even years for natural testosterone production to return. For some, it never fully does. In the meantime, depression, low energy, loss of libido, worse memory. The body visibly shrinks during this period, most of the muscle mass built up disappears again, while the fat comes back. The easiest way out of that feeling: inject again, and the cycle starts over, often at a higher dose than before, because the body has adapted and the old dose no longer produces the same effect. This also explains why the fitness community today has such a distorted sense of what's normal. Anyone who only sees the Instagram photos never sees the testosterone levels behind them, never sees the coming off period, the anxiety, or the cardiac checkup. People who compare themselves to that don't lower their expectations. They reach for the needle themselves just to keep up. And that's exactly how the benchmark keeps shifting for an entire generation of people who train. Back to Joe Lindner and Rich Piana. Two men, two continents, two completely different lives, and yet the same pattern in the end. Young, muscular bodies that suddenly stopped. In Piana's case, the autopsy at least gave some clues: a heart and liver twice the normal size. In Lindner's case, much remained unclear, but the facts surrounding it, the steroid use, the muscle disease, the neck pain shortly before the end, paint a picture that shouldn't be ignored. Steroids deliver exactly what they promise: faster muscle growth, more strength, less fat. That's not a myth. That's biology, but every advantage comes at a price: to your heart, your liver, your fertility, your own mind. The question was never whether steroids work. The question is whether the body you build with them is one you actually want to grow old in. If you enjoyed this video and want to support us, subscribe to the channel. It genuinely helps us a lot, because the next topic is going to be just as surprising. See you next time.